So I also want to kind of track back a little bit and kind of dive a little deeper on when you mentioned that when you were going to get your bachelor's, your undergrad, you missing hockey, missing playing that first winter as it was coming around. I know you had mentioned that you kind of were doing some other things to fill it, but kind of like just walk us through maybe mentally and then also like how you're able to keep yourself busy and kind of getting over that emotion and attachment that you kind of had when you were playing hockey.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like this hole in your stomach and you can't like fix it. Right.
Mhm.
That, again, like I was distracted by nonetheless, like distracted by being away from home and in university and having new friends. And you know what? Because I didn't have hockey there to structure me and to keep me grounded, I ended up gaining about 20 pounds and drank too much, slept in till noon, which I don't wake up any later than 7. Like I was a totally different person. I honestly I missed hockey, but I was just had all these other things of trying to fit in different places because as an athlete, right, you have, if you're going into your freshman year and you're playing varsity sports, you've got 25, 35 friends
Mm.
automatically. Right. So I'm like,
Yep.
well, I don't have a team. So I just got to make friends. And I mean, that was fine. And I have some of those friends are still some of my best friends today, but it was so hard to like face the fact that everything was going to be different and,
Mm.
and seeing myself differently, again, gaining some weight that I've never gained, like I've never had that problem before. And having to tell myself I had to go to the gym, like that was a totally different thing altogether. But really, like I felt like I wasn't myself. I felt like I lost myself
Hmm.
totally because I missed hockey so much. I missed my team. I missed having a schedule. I just missed like the love of the game. It was like, honestly, it was like worse than my first breakup, to be honest. It was
I don't know
bad.
how long your first breakup was, but I would imagine that you played hockey a lot longer than
Yeah,
did
but
that
that
person.
first, that breaking up with your first quote unquote love there is pretty shitty. But yeah,
Yeah.
this one takes the cake.
Yeah. We we're talking about kind of doing these other things outside of sports, and I think it's interesting like when you do finally leave sports, you're I remember me like thinking about it and like being excited to finally have like more time on my hands because that was something like I thought was really important, and like being able to decide what I was going to be using like my own time for, and the complete autonomy that I finally had. And it was probably because I wasn't used to it as well. Like it just turned my life into a disaster. Like there
Right.
was no more structure. There wasn't waking up early and going to the gym. There wasn't anyone there to push you through workouts. There wasn't someone, monitoring when you were going to get your workouts in and things like that. To kind of touch on a little bit about like I find that when people do end their sport, they find that they have a ton of time, more time than they thought they had, and they either feel like they're lazy because they're not maxed out as much as they were before, or they try and keep the same schedule, doing all sorts of different things, just basically cramming as much in as possible in 24 hours.
Oh my gosh, you couldn't have said it better because it is like a weight is lifted off your shoulders, right? When it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about, I can get so much other things done in the day because I don't have, 4 hours of practice here, or I don't have to travel this weekend, or I don't have to,
Mm.
it does feel like vacation for like the first little bit. But then once
Yeah.
you get in like that 3 months post, right? Like, okay, it's been all right and it's been enjoyable, but now, which is all part of the recovery process. I mean, your body has to recover physically and mentally from the strain of the season, whether you're retiring for good or you're just in off season. Like I see a lot of the time, with people I train, they want to come as soon as their season's over, they want to start training for next season. And I literally tell them that you're not allowed to come and talk to me or touch a hockey stick or a weight for 2.5 weeks and then come back and talk to me, because your body does need to recover. So that part happens whether we're in sport or we're out of sport. But specifically what you're talking about, like when we move on, is we have to either, find a way. Do I pack my schedule so full that it kind of replicates what I did when I was an athlete? Or like what's the right mix? Because burning ourselves out in any field, industry, anything is not good. So how do you find the right mix? So a lot of the times people think they have to train at the exact same intensity that you're training in when you're an athlete. And the reality is that you don't. Basically because what's the purpose of it? If it's just to self-fulfill and find your own worth, it usually backfires. And that's because you're trying to pretend like you are what you were, instead of seeing the reality of where you're going now, which sounds really harsh.
That's deep. I like that.
It sounds really harsh, right? It's like, okay, like you're just trying to constantly feel yourself there. And then when you do have a moment of, why am I doing this? You kind of have this, it's like you crash and you feel like I'm ripping the Band-Aid off again. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so we just kind of need to face the facts straight up and then find what's going to work with us in the next direction and allow ourselves to recover mentally so that we can see, like for you it was basketball, for me it was hockey, whatever that was that filled so much of our purpose. When you figure out what you want to do next and allow yourself to find that love for that next thing, then allow that to take over instead of always living, in the basketball or hockey obsession.
Yep. Man, I love that. You're in love with who you were. It's deep.
It really is. And it's like, you're just always looking back and it's like, well, you're never it's so cliche. If you always look back, you can't move forward, blah, blah, blah. But it's true. Yeah. It's true. If you're constantly trying to replicate the workouts you did, like if a lot of athletes don't know what to do in the gym after their team is after they're done playing. And they say, oh, well, I've got all these hockey workouts, soccer workouts, whatever you have. And then you just start going through your emails, finding workouts and then doing them again. And it's like, why? Maybe it's because that's the only thing but take the time to learn the next thing and get over a learning curve and then start implementing new things.